Zara, the zebra, and Danny the donkey. In the heart of the vast savannah, where the grass whispered secrets to the wind and the sun painted the sky in hues of gold, lived Zara the zebra and Danny the donkey. Zara was known for her dazzling stripes that shimmered in the sunlight, while Danny boasted a coat of soft, silvery grey. Despite their differences, Zara and Danny were the best of friends, sharing adventures and dreams under the endless African sky. One bright morning, Zara and Danny discovered a map, old and worn, tucked beneath a rock near the watering hole. The map hinted at a hidden valley where the rare rainbow flowers bloomed. The flowers were said to hold the magic to grant any wish. Excited by the prospect of finding these mystical flowers, Zara and Danny decided to embark on an adventure to seek out the hidden valley. Their journey took them across the savannah, through tall, whispering grasses and past herds of wildebeest and elephants. They helped each other overcome challenges along the way, from crossing rushing rivers to finding shelter during a sudden rainstorm. Zara's quick thinking and Danny's strength proved to be the perfect combination. As they ventured deeper into unknown lands, they encountered an old wise tortoise named Tilly. Tilly warned them of the challenges that lay ahead and the truth about the rainbow flowers. The journey is treacherous, and many have sought the flowers for the wrong reasons. But remember, the true magic lies not in the flowers, but in the friendship and courage within your hearts, Tilly advised. With Tilly's words echoing in their minds, Zara and Danny pressed on, their determination fueled by the promise of adventure and the strength of their friendship. Finally, after days of travel, they arrived at the hidden valley. It was more beautiful than they had imagined, alive with colors and the sweet scent of flowers. There, in the heart of the valley, grew the rainbow flowers, basking in a beam of sunlight. As they approached, Zara and Danny realized they no longer desired to make a wish. The journey had brought them closer, and they had discovered that their friendship was the most precious treasure of all. Instead of picking the flowers, Zara and Danny decided to leave them untouched, preserving their magic for the valley. As they turned to leave, the flowers shimmered brightly, and a gentle rain of petals fell upon them, as if the valley itself was thanking them for their respect and kindness. The journey back home was filled with laughter and stories. Zara and Danny knew that their adventure would be remembered as one of the greatest tales of the savannah. They had set out in search of magic, only to find that the true magic was the bond they shared. Back in their home under the wide African sky, Zara and Danny watched the stars twinkle above, their hearts full of joy and their spirits united by an unbreakable friendship. They realized that together they could face any adventure that came their way. And so, Zara the zebra and Danny the donkey lived happily, their friendship a testament to the adventures that await those who seek them, with a brave heart and a loyal friend by their side. The moonlit race. In the heart of whispering woods, where the moonlight danced through the leaves and the stars played peekaboo with the creatures below, lived Benny the bear and Tilly the turtle. Benny was as boisterous and bouncy as a bear could be, while Tilly was calm and contemplative, taking life one slow step at a time. Despite their differences, Benny and Tilly were the best of friends, sharing everything from honeycomb treats to secrets about the hidden nooks of the forest. One tranquil night, as they gazed at the sparkling sky, Benny had a burst of excitement. "Let's have a race to the great oak," he exclaimed, pointing to the oldest tree in the forest, its branches reaching out like wise old arms. Tilly blinked her gentle eyes and smiled. "A race? But Benny, you know you'd win. You're fast, and I'm Tilly." Benny tapped his chin thoughtfully. "Ah, but this won't be any ordinary race. We'll race under the moon, using only the moonlight to guide us. And to make it fair, I'll only move when the moon is behind the clouds, and you can move when it shines bright. It'll be a moonlit race." Tilly's eyes twinkled with intrigue. "That sounds like a wonderful adventure, Benny. You're on!" As the moon climbed high, casting a silver glow over the forest, the race began. Tilly started with a steady pace, her determination as strong as her slow and steady steps. Benny watched eagerly, waiting for the moon to hide behind the clouds. Every time the clouds covered the moon, Benny would dash forward with all his might, his laughter echoing through the woods. But as soon as the moon peeked back out, he'd sit and cheer for Tilly. "Go, Tilly, go!" The forest was alive with excitement as animals of all sizes came out to watch the moonlit race. Owls hooted from the treetops, rabbits thumped their feet in anticipation, and fireflies danced around, creating a magical spectacle. The race was close, with Benny and Tilly taking turns leading. Benny's sprints were fast, but Tilly's consistency kept her in the game. As they neared the great oak, both friends were side by side, the finish line in sight. Just then, a cloud covered the moon, and Benny, with a gentle nudge, encouraged Tilly forward. "Let's finish together," he whispered. And so, under the watchful eyes of the forest and the soft glow of the moon, Benny and Tilly crossed the finish line at the same time. The forest erupted in cheers and laughter, celebrating the unique race and the bond of friendship. That night, beneath the great oak, Benny and Tilly shared a feast of forest berries and honey, their hearts full of joy. They had learned that it wasn't about who was the fastest or the slowest, but about the fun of the journey and the companionship along the way. As the moon sailed across the sky, Benny and Tilly promised to have many more adventures, knowing that whatever they did, they'd do it together. And Whispering Woods was all the brighter for their friendship, a testament to the magic that happens when friends come together under the moonlit sky. And so, under the twinkling stars and the watchful moon, Benny the bear and Tilly the turtle drifted off to sleep, dreaming of their next great adventure. Benny the brave sheep. Once upon a time, in a cozy little farm nestled in the rolling hills of the countryside, there lived a sheep named Benny. Benny was no ordinary sheep. He was brave, bold, and full of curiosity. Every day, Benny would roam the lush green pastures, munching on sweet grass and frolicking with his woolly friends. But as the sun dipped below the horizon and the stars twinkled in the night sky, Benny would feel a pang of loneliness in his heart. One night, as Benny lay beneath the shimmering stars, he heard a soft, soothing melody carried on the gentle breeze. It was the familiar tune of Baa, Baa, Black Sheep, sung by the kindly farmer to lull the other animals to sleep. Inspired by the melody, Benny decided to embark on a brave adventure to find the source of the enchanting song. With a determined bleat, he set off into the darkness, his woolly coat swaying in the cool night air. Through fields and forests, over babbling brooks and winding paths, Benny journeyed into the unknown, guided by the sweet melody that echoed in his ears. Along the way, he encountered all sorts of creatures, from wise old owls to playful rabbits. But Benny pressed on, his heart filled with determination. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, Benny stumbled upon a quaint cottage nestled at the edge of the forest. Peeking through the window, he saw the kindly farmer sitting by the fireplace, softly singing the lullaby to his newborn lamb. Filled with warmth and joy, Benny realized that the true magic of the lullaby was not just in the melody itself, but in the love and care that it represented. With a contented bleat, Benny made his way back to the farm, his heart lighter than ever before. From that night on, whenever Benny felt lonely or afraid, he would close his eyes and listen to the sweet melody of Baa, Baa, Black Sheep, knowing that he was surrounded by love and friendship. And so, Benny the brave sheep lived happily ever after, his adventurous spirit shining bright beneath the twinkling stars of the night sky. For in the heart of the countryside, there was no greater courage than that of a sheep who dared to follow his dreams. The end. Old MacDonald's Farmyard Friends. Once upon a time, nestled in the heart of the countryside, there was a farm owned by Old MacDonald. Old MacDonald was a jolly farmer who loved his animals dearly, and he had a special bond with each and every one of them. On Old MacDonald's farm, there were cows and pigs, chickens and ducks, goats and sheep, and so many more delightful creatures. Each day, Old MacDonald would tend to his farmyard friends, making sure they were happy and healthy. One sunny morning, as Old MacDonald strolled through the farmyard, he heard a cheerful melody drifting through the air. It was the familiar tune of the Old MacDonald Had a Farm song, sung by his grandchildren who had come to visit for the day. Inspired by the melody, Old MacDonald decided to join in the fun. With a twinkle in his eye and a skip in his step, he led his grandchildren on a magical adventure around the farm, introducing them to all the wonderful animals that called it home. Old MacDonald had a farm, E-I-E-I-O, they sang, as they visited each animal in turn. First, they met Daisy the cow, who mooed happily as she grazed in the green pasture. Old MacDonald and his grandchildren milked Daisy and filled buckets with creamy milk, which they later used to make delicious cheese and butter. Next, they visited Percy the pig, who oinked with delight as he rolled around in the mud. Old MacDonald and his grandchildren gave Percy a good scrub, making sure he was squeaky clean and ready for the day ahead. Then they stopped by the chicken coop, where Hattie the hen proudly showed off her freshly laid eggs. Old MacDonald and his grandchildren collected the eggs and placed them gently in a basket, marveling at the beautiful colours and shapes. As they continued their journey around the farm, Old MacDonald and his grandchildren met a whole host of other animals, from quacking ducks to bleating goats to woolly sheep. Each one had its own unique sound and personality, and Old MacDonald's grandchildren couldn't help but giggle with delight as they sang their way through the farmyard. When the sun began to set and the stars started to twinkle in the sky, Old MacDonald and his grandchildren gathered around a cozy bonfire, roasting marshmallows and sharing stories of their adventures on the farm. And as they sang one last chorus of Old MacDonald Had a Farm, accompanied by the chirping crickets and the rustling leaves, they knew that they had made memories that would last a lifetime. For on Old MacDonald's farm, there was laughter and love, friendship and fun, and the sweetest melodies to be sung by all who visited. And as long as Old MacDonald's farm stood strong, the spirit of joy and togetherness would live on forevermore. The end. Timmy, the Joyful Tortoise. In a serene forest nestled between towering trees and trickling streams, there lived a tortoise named Timmy. Now, Timmy was no ordinary tortoise. He was the happiest tortoise you'd ever meet. His shell glistened with a cheerful glow, and his eyes twinkled with joy as he ambled through the forest, spreading happiness wherever he went. Timmy's days were filled with simple pleasures. He loved to bask in the warm sunshine, munch on delicious green leaves, and take leisurely strolls through the lush undergrowth. But most of all, Timmy loved to make friends with all the creatures of the forest. One sunny morning, as Timmy ventured out for his daily stroll, he stumbled upon a she-squirrel named Sammy, who was nervously hiding behind a tree. "Hello there, friend," Timmy called out with a friendly smile. "What brings you to this part of the forest?" Sammy peeked out from behind the tree, surprised to see such a cheerful tortoise. "Oh, hello," he said timidly. "I'm just gathering nuts for the winter." With a warm chuckle, Timmy ambled over to Sammy and offered to help him collect nuts. Together, they scurried through the forest, gathering acorns and chestnuts with laughter and delight. As they worked side by side, Sammy couldn't help but be drawn to Timmy's infectious happiness. "You're always so joyful, Timmy," Sammy remarked. "How do you stay so happy all the time?" Timmy paused for a moment, a thoughtful look crossing his face. "Well, Sammy," he replied with a smile, "I believe that happiness is a choice. No matter what challenges we face, there's always something to be grateful for and something to smile about." Inspired by Timmy's wise words, Sammy felt a newfound sense of joy blossoming within him. From that day on, he joined Timmy on his daily adventures, and together they explored every corner of the forest, making friends with creatures big and small. As the seasons passed and the forest flourished, Timmy's joy touched the hearts of all who knew him. His positive outlook and friendly demeanor brought light and warmth to even the darkest corners of the forest, turning every day into a joyful celebration of life. And so, Timmy the Joyful Tortoise lived happily ever after, his laughter echoing through the forest like the sweetest melody. For in the heart of the forest there was no greater joy than the friendship of a happy tortoise and his beloved forest friends. The end. The Little Red Car. Once upon a time, in the bustling city of Motorville, there lived a little red car named Carl. Carl was no ordinary car. He was courageous, adventurous, and always eager to explore the world beyond the city streets. Every day, Carl would zip and zoom through the busy roads of Motorville, his wheels spinning with excitement as he embarked on new adventures. From the towering skyscrapers of downtown to the winding country roads on the outskirts of town, Carl loved to discover new places and meet new friends. One sunny morning, as Carl cruised through the city, he spotted a group of cars gathered around a broken-down truck on the side of the road. The truck's engine had sputtered to a halt, and its driver looked lost and worried. With a determined rev of his engine, Carl pulled up beside the truck and called out, "Is everything okay? Can I help?" The truck driver looked up, surprised to see a little red car offering assistance. "Oh, thank you for stopping, but I'm not sure what to do. My engine won't start, and I'm supposed to deliver these supplies to the hospital." Carl's heart swelled with compassion. Without hesitation, he offered to tow the truck to the hospital, using his own engine to help the driver deliver the much-needed supplies. Together, Carl and the truck driver set off on their journey, navigating the busy streets of Motorville with skill and determination. Along the way, they encountered all sorts of obstacles, from traffic jams to potholes to unexpected detours. But with Carl's courage and the truck driver's determination, they persevered, never losing sight of their goal. As they arrived at the hospital, the staff greeted them with cheers and applause. Thanks to Carl's bravery and quick thinking, the much-needed supplies had arrived just in time to help those in need. From that day on, Carl became known as the bravest car in all of Motorville. He continued to lend a helping hand to those in need, whether it was towing broken-down vehicles or delivering supplies to those less fortunate. And as Carl zipped and zoomed through the streets of Motorville, his wheels spinning with pride, he knew that no matter where his adventures took him, he would always be ready to lend a helping hand and make the world a better place, one journey at a time. Bella and the Bully. In a quaint little town nestled between rolling hills and blooming meadows, there lived a young girl named Bella. Bella was known throughout the town for her kindness, generosity, and warm heart. She was always quick to lend a helping hand to anyone in need, whether it was a lost kitten, a neighbor with groceries, or a friend feeling down. But despite Bella's kindness, there was one person in town who seemed immune to her warmth, Benny the Bully. Benny was a big, burly boy with a mean streak, and he delighted in picking on others and causing trouble wherever he went. He was feared by many in the town, but Bella saw something different in him, a lost soul in need of kindness. One day, as Bella was walking home from school, she noticed Benny sitting alone on a bench, his shoulders slumped and his eyes downcast. Sensing an opportunity to make a difference, Bella approached Benny with a friendly smile. "Hi there, Benny," Bella said softly. "Is everything okay?" Benny looked up in surprise, not used to anyone showing him kindness. "Why do you care?" he grumbled. Bella shrugged, "Because everyone deserves to feel cared for, even if they've made mistakes." Benny was taken aback by Bella's words. No one had ever spoken to him like that before. He didn't know how to respond, so he simply nodded silently. From that day on, Bella made an effort to befriend Benny despite his gruff exterior. She invited him to join her and her friends for games and activities, always including him in their plans and treating him with kindness and respect. At first, Benny was skeptical. He couldn't understand why Bella would want to be friends with someone like him. But as he spent more time with Bella and her friends, he began to soften. He realized that he didn't have to be mean to be accepted, and that true friendship was built on kindness and understanding. Slowly but surely, Benny's rough edges began to soften, and he started to change for the better. He stopped picking on others and started standing up for those who were being bullied. He even apologized to those he had hurt in the past, making amends and working to make things right. As Benny's transformation unfolded, the entire town took notice. People who had once feared him now saw him in a new light, as a kind, caring, and compassionate person who had learned the true meaning of friendship from a very special girl named Bella. And as Benny and Bella walked side by side through the streets of their town, their friendship shining bright for all to see, they knew that kindness truly had the power to change hearts and transform lives, one act of compassion at a time. Once upon a time, in a lush green forest filled with the melodies of chirping birds and the gentle rustle of leaves, there lived a happy tiger named Tigo. Tigo was not like any ordinary tiger. He was known throughout the forest for his radiant smile and joyful spirit. One bright morning, Tigo woke up to the warm rays of the sun filtering through the dense canopy above. He stretched his legs, let out a big yawn, and decided that today was the perfect day for an adventure. With his tail wagging like a little puppy's, Tigo set off into the heart of the forest. As he wandered through the forest, Tigo greeted every animal he met with a cheerful "good morning." His happiness was contagious, and soon the whole forest was buzzing with joy and laughter. The birds sang a little louder, the squirrels played a little more, and even the grumpy old bear couldn't help but crack a smile. Tigo's adventure took him to the sparkling river, where he decided to help the beavers build a dam. With his strong paws and helpful nature, the work was done in no time. The beavers were so grateful that they invited Tigo to a fish feast. They all sat by the river, sharing stories and enjoying the delicious fish under the moonlight. The next stop on Tigo's adventure was the meadow, where the flowers bloomed in vibrant colors, and the air smelled sweetly of nectar. Here, Tigo met a group of butterflies, struggling to reach the nectar in the tallest flowers. Without a moment's hesitation, Tigo gently lifted each butterfly with his nose, helping them reach the sweet nectar. The butterflies fluttered around Tigo, forming a colorful dance of gratitude around their new friend. As the day came to an end, Tigo made his way back home, his heart full of happiness from all the new friends he had made and the good deeds he had done. He realized that true joy comes from spreading happiness and helping others. That night, as Tigo lay down under the starlit sky, he smiled, knowing that the forest was a little happier because of him. And from that day on, Tigo continued to spread joy wherever he went, making the forest a brighter, more cheerful place for everyone. And so, Tigo the happy tiger taught us all a valuable lesson. Happiness is contagious, and a little kindness can make a big difference in the world. The end. Toby's River Adventure. Once upon a time, in a vibrant forest filled with emerald green trees and sparkling rivers, there lived a curious little bear named Toby. Toby loved exploring every nook and cranny of his woodland home, but more than anything, he was fascinated by the babbling brook that wound its way through the forest. One sunny morning, Toby found an old wooden boat resting by the riverbank. It was painted a cheerful shade of red and seemed just perfect for an adventure. Remembering the song his mother used to hum, "Row, row, row your boat," Toby decided it was time for him to embark on a journey down the river. With a heart full of excitement and a little wooden paddle in his paw, Toby pushed the boat into the water. "Row, row, row your boat gently down the stream," he sang to himself, paddling in rhythm with the song. As Toby rowed along, he noticed the beauty of the world around him. The sun cast a golden glow over the water, and fish danced beneath the surface. Birds sang from the treetops, and flowers bloomed in brilliant colors along the riverbank. "Merrily, merrily, 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 life is but a dream," Toby continued to sing, feeling the truth of the words. His adventure was like a dream, filled with wonder and delight at every turn. Soon, Toby's boat drifted into a part of the forest he had never seen before. Here, the trees were even taller, and the flowers had petals that shimmered like jewels. Toby was amazed by the new sights and sounds, but he also realized he was a long way from home. Just then, Toby heard a soft voice coming from the shore. "Lost your way, little bear?" asked a kind fox, who had been watching Toby's adventure with interest. Toby nodded, feeling a bit scared now that the excitement had worn off. But the fox smiled and said, "Don't worry, I know these waters well. Follow me and I'll guide you home." Grateful for the help, Toby rowed his boat behind the fox, who scampered along the riverbank. They talked and laughed together, and Toby realized that sometimes adventures were even better with friends. As the sun began to set, painting the sky in hues of orange and pink, Toby finally saw the familiar parts of the forest. He had made it back home, thanks to the help of his new friend. That night, as Toby lay in his bed, he thought about his journey and the song that had inspired it. "Row, row, row your boat gently down the stream. Merrily, 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 life is but a dream." He realized that life was indeed a beautiful dream, filled with adventure, discovery, and friendship. And with that thought, Toby drifted off to sleep, dreaming of all the other adventures that awaited him in the wonderful, wide world. The Dancing Rabbit. In the heart of a bustling, colorful town, filled with cobblestone streets and laughter, there lived a young, energetic rabbit named Riley. Riley was known throughout the town for his boundless energy and love for dancing. However, there was one dance that Riley loved more than any other: the head, shoulders, knees, and toes dance. One bright, sunny morning, Riley decided he wanted to share his favorite dance with all his friends in the town. He hopped excitedly from door to door, inviting everyone to join him in the town square for a dance lesson unlike any other. As the clock struck noon, the town square was abuzz with animals of all shapes and sizes, from the tiniest mouse to the largest elephant. Riley stood in front of his friends, his heart swelling with joy at the sight of the gathered crowd. "Today," Riley announced, "we're going to learn the head, shoulders, knees, and toes dance. It's not just fun, but it's a great way to learn about different parts of our bodies." With that, Riley began the dance, touching his head, shoulders, knees, and toes in time with the song. "Head, shoulders, knees, and toes, knees and toes," he sang, encouraging everyone to join in. At first, there was a bit of confusion. The elephant kept mixing up his knees and toes, while the mouse found it hard to reach his knees. But Riley was patient, walking among his friends, helping them learn the movements. As the afternoon sun cast long shadows across the square, something magical happened. Everyone, regardless of their size or shape, began to move in perfect harmony. Head, shoulders, knees and toes, knees and toes, and eyes and ears and mouth and nose. They sang together, laughter and joy filling the air. Riley looked around at his friends, their faces beaming with happiness, and felt a warm glow in his heart. He had not only taught them a dance, but had brought the whole town together in a celebration of joy and unity. As the day turned into evening, and the stars began to twinkle in the sky, the animals of the town continued to dance. They realized that it wasn't just about learning the dance, but about spending time together and helping each other. When the music finally slowed, and everyone gathered to thank Riley for such a wonderful day, the young rabbit felt a tear of joy trickle down his cheek. He had set out to teach a dance, but in the end, he learned something far more valuable: the importance of friendship, unity, and the joy of sharing something you love with others. And from that day forward, the head, shoulders, knees, and toes dance became a beloved tradition in the town, a symbol of their togetherness and the joy that comes from sharing and learning together. The Golden Honey. Once upon a time, in a lush green forest filled with whispering trees and sparkling streams, there lived a little bear named Benny. Benny was a curious cub with a nose for adventure and a deep love for honey. Not just any honey, but the sweetest honey in the whole wide forest. One bright morning, Benny woke up with a rumble in his tummy and a sparkle in his eyes. Today was the day he would go on a grand adventure to find the sweetest honey ever tasted. With a determined nod to himself, he packed a small bag with essentials and set off, humming a tune of excitement and anticipation. Benny's first stop was near the babbling brook, where Mrs. Beehive and her buzzing family lived. "Excuse me, Mrs. Beehive," Benny called out politely. "I'm on a hunt for the sweetest honey in the forest. Do you have some I could try?" Mrs. Beehive, who was very proud of her honey, buzzed happily and offered Benny a taste. The honey was sweet and golden, like the warm sun on a clear day. Benny thanked her with a smile, but he knew his quest was not yet over. He had heard legends of even sweeter honey hidden within the forest. His journey took him next to the top of the windy hill, where the flowers danced in the breeze and the sun kissed the earth. Here, he met Mr. Bumble, a bee with the fluffiest yellow stripes Benny had ever seen. Mr. Bumble boasted of his honey, collected from the rarest flowers. Benny tasted the honey, and indeed, it was like a burst of flowers in his mouth, sweeter than Mrs. Beehive's. But Benny's heart told him his quest was not yet complete. With a polite thank you, Benny ventured deeper into the forest, guided by whispers of a mystical place where the sweetest honey flowed like rivers. The journey was long, and Benny's paws grew tired, but his spirit was as strong as ever. Finally, as the sun dipped low, casting a golden glow through the trees, Benny stumbled upon a clearing unlike any he had seen before. In the center stood the grand oak, its branches stretching high into the sky, touching the clouds. And there, glimmering in the last light of day, was a hive of pure gold, dripping with the most luscious glowing honey Benny had ever seen. Benny's eyes widened in wonder. The bees here were gentle, and they allowed Benny to taste the golden honey. As it touched his tongue, Benny knew his quest was complete. This was the sweetest honey in the world, a taste of pure joy and sunshine, of flowers and dreams. With a heart full of gratitude, Benny realized it wasn't just the honey that made his adventure sweet, but the journey itself, the friends he met, and the lessons he learned. He understood that sweetness comes not just from the taste of honey, but from the love and kindness shared along the way. Benny made his way back home, his bag a little heavier with honey and his heart full of memories. He knew he would never forget his adventure or the sweet taste of discovery. And from that day on, Benny shared his honey with all his friends in the forest, telling them stories of his journey and teaching them that the sweetest things in life are those that are searched for with courage and shared with love. And so, in the heart of the forest, life was sweet, not just for Benny, but for all who lived there, for they knew the secret of the sweetest honey was not just in its taste, but in the joy of the adventure and the warmth of friendship. The Wise Tortoise. In a dense green forest, where the sun filtered through the leaves and the air buzzed with the sounds of life, there lived a tortoise named Timothy. Timothy was unlike any other tortoise in the forest. He was known for his wisdom and patience. Over many years, Timothy had learned much from the world around him, and he was always willing to share his knowledge with others. One day, a young rabbit named Rosie approached Timothy with a problem. Rosie was known for her speed and loved to race, but she often found herself running in circles, unable to decide which path in life was the right one to take. "Timothy," Rosie said, panting from yet another race to nowhere, "how do you always know the right path to take? How are you so wise?" Timothy smiled, his old eyes twinkling. "Come, sit with me," he said, and began to share his secret. "Once," Timothy began, "I too rushed through life, eager to reach my destinations without truly understanding why. But I learned that wisdom comes from taking your time, observing the world around you, and listening to others." He pointed to his shell. "This shell has been my home for many years. It reminds me to carry my experiences with me, to protect myself, but also to be patient and to reflect on my journey." Rosie listened intently as Timothy spoke of his travels through the forest, of the friends he'd made, and the challenges he'd overcome by simply taking his time to think and observe. "The forest is full of paths, Rosie," Timothy continued. "Some lead to sunshine and others to shadows, but all will teach you something important. The trick is not to rush, but to move at your own pace, to see each part of the path as a part of your journey." Rosie thought about Timothy's words. She realized that she had been so focused on running fast that she missed the beauty of the forest around her, the friends she could make, and the lessons she could learn from them. "Will you teach me to be wise like you, Timothy?" Rosie asked. Timothy nodded. "I will share with you all I know, but remember, wisdom is not something I can give you. It's something you'll find on your own journey, in your own time." From that day forward, Rosie spent her days a little differently. She still loved to run, but now she took the time to explore the paths she ran, to talk to the other animals, and to listen to the stories of the forest. And in those moments of stillness and listening, Rosie found wisdom. Timothy watched Rosie grow wiser with each passing day, and he knew that the forest was in good hands. Bailey's World Adventures. Once upon a time, in a cozy, sunlit clearing surrounded by tall, whispering pines, there lived a young bear named Bailey. Bailey grew up listening to his grandfather's tales of adventure and the wondrous honeys he tasted on his travels around the world. Each story was filled with descriptions of exotic places and the unique, delicious honey each land offered. Inspired by these stories, Bailey decided to embark on his own journey to find the best honey in the world. With a sturdy backpack and a map his grandfather had drawn long ago, Bailey waved goodbye to his family and set off on his grand adventure. His first stop was the sunny meadows of France, where lavender fields stretched as far as the eye could see. Here, bees buzzed lazily from flower to flower, producing honey with a light, floral essence. Bailey tasted it and smiled, savoring the sweet flavors, but he knew his journey was just beginning. Next, Bailey flew to Ethiopia, where the honey was dark and rich, harvested from the nectar of the rarest flowers in the highland forests. The honey was thick and had a strong, bold flavor that made Bailey think of wild adventures through untamed lands. It was unlike anything he had tasted before, but he was eager to see what other flavors awaited him. His adventure took him further to the dense rainforests of Brazil, where honey came from the bright blossoms of tropical flowers. This honey was vibrant and tangy, with a hint of something mysterious, just like the jungle itself. Bailey loved the excitement of this new taste, and he marveled at the colorful beauty of the rainforest. In Australia, Bailey visited the eucalyptus groves, where the honey had a refreshingly clean and minty flavor. It was cool and soothing, and it reminded Bailey of peaceful afternoons sitting by a quiet, bubbling brook. With each stop, Bailey collected a small jar of honey, labeling them with care and placing them gently in his backpack. His journey led him across continents and cultures, from the buzzing markets of Morocco, where the honey was sweetened with hints of orange blossom, to the snowy landscapes of Canada, where the honey tasted of wild clover and the cold, crisp air. Finally, after traveling around the globe and tasting all kinds of honey, Bailey returned home. His family gathered eagerly to hear about his travels and taste the wonderful honeys he brought back. As Bailey shared his stories and opened each jar of honey, he realized something important. While all the honeys were special and delicious in their own way, the best honey was actually the one his grandfather had left in an old jar at home. It was sweet and warm, filled with the love and memories of his grandfather's tales. Bailey learned that the joy of his journey wasn't just in finding the best honey, but in experiencing the beauty of the world and the varied cultures he encountered. He understood that sometimes what we are searching for is not just a place or a thing, but a deeper understanding of home and heart. And so, Bailey's adventure ended where it began, under the gentle shadows of the pine trees, with the sweet taste of home on his tongue and incredible tales of his own to tell, just like his grandfather. Daisy, the happy cow. In the lush, green fields of Clover Meadow Farm, there lived a happy cow named Daisy. Daisy wasn't just any cow. She was known far and wide for her snowy white fur, with unique black patches that looked like little maps of the world, and a gentle smile always graced her face. One bright spring morning, Daisy decided she wanted to do something special. All the animals on the farm looked forward to the annual farm fair, where they could showcase their talents and crafts. This year, Daisy had her heart set on entering the baking contest. She had a secret recipe for clover cupcakes, which she believed could win the hearts of the judges. Daisy spent weeks preparing. She practiced her recipe over and over, each time grazing a little on the sweet clover that grew abundantly in her field, which was the secret ingredient in her cupcakes. The other animals watched curiously as Daisy mixed, baked, and frosted under the old oak tree in the middle of the field. Finally, the day of the farm fair arrived. Animals from all over came to see the displays of crafts, vegetables, and to taste the delicious treats entered in the baking contest. Daisy, with a tray of her finest clover cupcakes, walked proudly to the contest area. The judges were Farmer Brown, Mrs. Maple the hen, and old Mr. Brindle the horse. They tasted cakes, pies, and cookies from all the contestants, making notes and whispering to each other excitedly. When they reached Daisy, they were intrigued by the green specks in her cupcakes. Daisy smiled and encouraged them to try. The moment the judges tasted Daisy's cupcakes, their eyes widened in delight. The cupcakes were light, fluffy, and had a hint of sweetness that was unlike anything they had tasted before. Daisy explained that the secret was the fresh clover from her field, which not only gave the cupcakes a unique flavor, but also made them extra special because it was her favorite food. The judges were impressed, not just with the cupcakes, but with Daisy's creativity and the way she incorporated something that was a part of her daily life into her baking. After some deliberation, it was no surprise when they announced that Daisy the cow had won the baking contest. Daisy was overjoyed and mooed happily as the other animals cheered for her. She felt proud not only of winning, but also of sharing something so special with everyone. Daisy's clover cupcakes became a legend on Clover Meadow Farm, and she promised to make them every year for the farm fair. As the sun set over the farm, casting a golden glow over the fields, Daisy returned to her meadow, her heart as full as her belly. She had learned that sometimes sharing a piece of oneself with others could bring not just success, but immense joy and satisfaction. And from that day on, Daisy wasn't just known for her unique patches or gentle smile, but as the cow who baked the best clover cupcakes in the land. Finley, the friendly fish. Once upon a time, beneath the shimmering surface of the deep blue sea, there lived a small, vibrant fish named Finley. Finley was a curious and adventurous fish, exploring coral reefs and shipwrecks, always on the lookout for new friends. However, most of the sea creatures were wary of befriending him due to his tiny size. One day, while exploring a particularly murky part of the ocean, Finley accidentally swam into a dark cave. Inside, he bumped into something huge and rough. Terrified, Finley tried to swim away, but the creature spoke in a deep, calm voice. "Don't be afraid, little fish. I won't hurt you." Finley turned around to see a large, gentle-eyed shark named Sherman. Contrary to his fearsome reputation, Sherman was a lonely shark who longed for companionship. He explained to Finley that everyone feared him because of his size and sharp teeth, so he often swam alone. Seeing Sherman's sadness, Finley's heart melted. He realized that Sherman was just like him, looking for a friend. Finley decided to give Sherman a chance, and the two started talking. They discovered that they both loved exploring and had a mutual love for discovering hidden treasures in the sea. From that day on, Finley and Sherman became the best of friends. They swam together through the ocean, exploring and playing hide and seek among the coral. Finley would ride on Sherman's back, and they would race across the ocean currents. Their unusual friendship surprised many sea creatures. Initially, they kept their distance, but over time, as they saw Sherman gently playing with Finley, their fears faded. They realized that Sherman was not as scary as the stories made him out to be. Finley and Sherman taught everyone in the ocean that friendship could be found in the most unlikely places, and that true friends look beyond the exterior to see each other's hearts. Together, they showed the ocean community that differences do not define who you can be friends with. Their friendship brought the sea creatures closer together, making the ocean a happier, more inclusive place. Finley and Sherman continued their adventures, always side by side, proving that even a little fish and a big shark can make a perfect pair of friends. And so, beneath the waves, the story of their unlikely friendship became a legend, passed down through generations of ocean dwellers. A tale of true beauty. In the heart of the lush green feather forest, where trees reached high into the sky and flowers bloomed in every color imaginable, lived Percival, a peacock of particularly striking beauty. Percival's feathers were a dazzling array of colors, shimmering in the sunlight with hues of emerald green, royal blue, and hints of gold that sparkled like tiny stars. He was, without a doubt, the most beautiful bird in the forest, and he knew it well. Percival loved nothing more than to strut around Green Feather Forest, displaying his magnificent tail feathers to any and all who would admire them. The other animals would often gather to watch Percival fan his feathers in a splendid display of colours and patterns. While they were genuinely amazed by his beauty, Percival's constant boasting began to wear on them. "One day, they'll build statues to honour my beauty," Percival would declare as he paraded around the forest floor. The other animals would smile and nod, but silently they wished Percival would see more to life than just his looks. One sunny morning, as Percival was admiring his reflection in the lake, a wise old owl named Ophelia flew down beside him. She had been watching Percival for some time and had decided that the proud peacock might benefit from a little perspective. "Percival," she began, her voice calm and gentle, "your feathers are truly the finest I have ever seen, but have you ever noticed the beauty of the forest around you, or the talents of your fellow creatures?" Percival scoffed lightly. "Of course they're fine, but none can compare to my feathers." Ophelia smiled wisely. "Let's take a walk, and perhaps I can show you some things you've missed," she suggested. Curious and slightly amused, Percival agreed, and together they walked through Green Feather Forest. Ophelia pointed out the cleverness of the squirrels, who had built intricate nests high in the trees, and the strength and speed of the deer, who leapt gracefully through the underbrush. She showed him the hard-working ants, carrying supplies back to their queen, and the harmonious song of the nightingales as the sun began to set. With each example, Percival found himself nodding in appreciation, slowly realizing that beauty could be found in many forms, and that each creature had its unique strengths and talents. As they returned to the lake, Ophelia asked, "What do you think, Percival? Is beauty only to be found in feathers?" Percival looked around, seeing his home as if for the first time. "You are wise, Ophelia. I see now that beauty and worth are not just about what is seen on the outside, but also what lies within and what one contributes to the world." From that day on, Percival still took pride in his stunning plumage, but he also took time to praise the talents and beauty of his forest friends. He became a much-loved figure in the forest, not only for his feathers, but for his newfound kindness and respect for others. And so, Percival learned that true beauty is not just about being admired, it's about admiring and appreciating the world and its inhabitants in return. Queen Quilla's Kingdom. In a bustling corner of a sprawling forest meadow, there lived a queen ant named Quilla. Queen Quilla was wise and kind-hearted, loved by all the ants in her large colony. Her colony was known far and wide as a place of prosperity and harmony, a community that every ant aspired to be part of. Quilla's colony was a marvel of ant architecture, with intricate tunnels and chambers that housed the nursery, food storage areas, and meeting spaces. Each ant had a specific role, and they all worked together to ensure the colony's success. The worker ants gathered food, the soldier ants protected the colony, and the nurse ants cared for the young. Despite their hard work, there was always time for a little fun, and the ants enjoyed organizing races and playful wrestling matches. One day, during a particularly busy summer, a group of nomad ants stumbled upon Quilla's colony. These ants had been wandering without a home after their own colony was destroyed by a sudden flood. Tired and hungry, they hesitantly approached, unsure of the reception they would receive. Queen Quilla, upon learning of their plight, welcomed them with open arms. "In our colony, we believe in helping each other," Quilla declared. "You are welcome to stay with us, share our food, and find new roles here. All I ask in return is for you to contribute to our community with your strengths." The nomad ants were overwhelmed with gratitude. They quickly integrated into the colony, bringing with them skills that the colony had never seen before. One was an expert in creating waterproof tunnels, while another specialized in finding the best food sources. Their unique skills made the colony even stronger and more diverse. As the seasons changed, the nomad ants proved their worth and dedication. They worked diligently, not only contributing to the daily needs of the colony, but also teaching the resident ants their unique skills. The colony grew not just in numbers, but in wisdom and efficiency. Queen Quilla often reflected on the unity and strength of her community. One day she decided to organize a grand feast to celebrate the diverse talents and harmony within her colony. Every ant contributed to the feast, from the youngest worker to the oldest soldier. The feast was a delightful event, filled with laughter, shared stories, and plans for the future. That night, under the soft glow of the moonlight, Queen Quilla addressed her colony. Today, we celebrate not just our food and our hard work, but the spirit of our community. Each of you, whether you were born here or you found us by fate, has contributed to the fabric of our colony. Together, we are stronger, wiser, and more capable than we ever were apart. The ants cheered, their tiny voices echoing in the cool night air, a testament to their unity and strength under Queen Quilla's wise leadership. From that day on, Quilla's colony became a legendary haven, a place where any ant, no matter their past, could find a home and a purpose. And under the stars of the vast meadow, they thrived, a tiny kingdom of ants with hearts as grand as any queen or king could ever wish for. A Squirrel's Tale of Wisdom. In the colourful canopy of Maplewood Forest, where the leaves painted the sky in shades of orange and red during the fall, lived a clever and hard-working squirrel named Simon. Simon was not like the other squirrels who scurried frantically, gathering nuts only when winter was near. He believed in preparing early and using smart ways to collect and store his food. Simon had noticed a pattern over the years. The best nuts were always gone by the time late fall came around. So, instead of waiting, Simon began his work in the warmth of summer. He meticulously mapped out the areas where the juiciest acorns and the crunchiest chestnuts fell, plotting his routes and schedules with precision. One sunny morning, as Simon was about to embark on his daily collection run, he stumbled upon a peculiar sight. A group of younger squirrels was struggling to climb a particularly slippery tree that had the last of the season's ripe walnuts. They scrambled and slipped, getting nowhere and tiring quickly. Watching this, Simon decided to help. "Follow me," he said, leading them to a tree with a rougher bark but hidden from the usual paths. "This tree," Simon explained, "has just as many walnuts, but it's much easier to climb." Grateful for the tip, the young squirrels scampered up the tree and collected the walnuts. Impressed by Simon's knowledge, they asked him how he knew so much. Simon chuckled and invited them to his home for a little lesson on forest wisdom. Back at his tree, which was ingeniously organized with different types of nuts sorted into various nooks, Simon shared his secrets. He taught them how to map the forest based on the types of trees and their fruiting patterns, how to store nuts so they wouldn't rot, and even how to predict the weather to optimize their gathering days. The young squirrels listened in awe, and as the days turned into weeks, they followed Simon's advice. The forest buzzed with activity as they all began to work smarter, not harder. With Simon's strategies, they were able to gather more food in less time, leaving plenty of room for play and rest. As winter approached, Simon's foresight proved invaluable. Maplewood Forest faced one of the coldest winters in years, but thanks to their early and efficient preparations, no squirrel went hungry. Simon's home became a warm gathering place, where stories and nuts were shared in abundance. Through the winter, Simon's kindness and cleverness forged new friendships and respect among the forest creatures. He had not only ensured his survival, but had uplifted the entire community with his knowledge and hard work. When spring finally melted the snow and the first buds bloomed, the forest was alive with the chatter and laughter of well-fed, happy squirrels. Simon looked around at the thriving community he helped build and knew that the real joy of his cleverness and hard work was in sharing it with others, making Maplewood Forest a better place for everyone. The Adventurous Princess. In a kingdom where the mountains kissed the clouds and rivers sang melodies, lived a young princess named Lila. Princess Lila was known throughout her kingdom for her kindness and adventurous spirit. As the day approached when she would become queen, she realized she needed to find the perfect crown, one that truly represented the spirit of her people. One morning, under the soft glow of dawn, Lila decided that to find her crown, she would embark on a journey through her kingdom. She wanted a crown not of opulence, but one that echoed the beauty and strength of her land and its people. With a small bundle of supplies and her faithful horse, Whisper, she set off towards the first destination, the Crystal Caves. As Lila and Whisper ventured through the dense forest leading to the caves, they helped a family of rabbits retrieve their lost baby from a deep burrow. In gratitude, the rabbits gave Lila a small crystal that glimmered with all the colors of the rainbow. This crystal represents courage and kindness, they said. Lila thanked them and placed the crystal safely in her pouch, her heart full of warmth. Their next stop was the great weaving village on the eastern plains, where the finest weavers crafted cloth that seemed woven from dreams. The village chief, seeing Lila's interest in their art, presented her with a thread of gold, spun from the light of the rising sun. This thread represents unity and the bond between us all, he explained. Lila accepted the gift with honor, imagining how it could bind her crown together. The final leg of their journey took them to the Misty Peaks, the highest point in the kingdom, where the winds carried whispers of the old kings and queens. There, at the summit, an old wise eagle awaited her. "You have traveled far, young princess," the eagle said, watching her with keen eyes. "What have you learned?" Lila thought about her adventures, the creatures she'd helped, and the gifts she'd received. "I have learned that a true leader serves with courage, fosters unity, and above all, cares for her people." Pleased, the eagle plucked a feather from his wing, shimmering like the night sky. "This feather represents wisdom. Add this to your crown, and you will be a wise ruler." With all her gifts collected, Lila returned to the castle. The kingdom's finest artisans came together, weaving the crystal, the golden thread, and the feather into a magnificent crown. It was not the most opulent crown, but it was perfect in its representation of Lila's journey and the spirit of her people. On the day of her coronation, as Lila placed the crown upon her head, the kingdom cheered not just for their new queen, but for the journey she had undertaken to learn what it truly meant to serve and lead. And so, Queen Lila ruled with kindness, courage, wisdom, and unity, her crown a constant reminder of her journey and the people she served. Under her rule, the kingdom flourished like never before, a testament to a leader whose crown was chosen not for its jewels, but for its values. The Magical Fairy. In a hidden corner of the enchanted forest, beneath the glow of the twilight stars, lived a whimsical fairy named Seraphina. Seraphina was no ordinary fairy. She had a magical talent that was rare, even in a world filled with magic. She could travel through dreams. Each night, as creatures of the forest settled into their slumbers, Seraphina would sprinkle her shimmering dream dust and slip into their dreams, transforming into a spark of light that floated in their fantastical worlds. One night, Seraphina came upon Ellie, a young deer having a troubling nightmare about losing her way in the forest. In the dream, Seraphina became a guiding light, leading Ellie through a labyrinth of towering trees and whispering winds until they found a path lined with glowing flowers leading back to Ellie's home. When Ellie awoke, her heart was light, and she no longer feared the forest. On another night, Seraphina visited the dream of Milo, a small mouse who dreamed of flying but was afraid of heights. Seraphina turned the dream into a gentle breeze that lifted Milo into the sky. Together, they soared above the forest, dancing among the clouds. Milo's fear melted away, replaced by joy and a newfound confidence. Seraphina's journeys took her to many dreams, each night a different adventure, a different creature to help. She dived deep into oceans and fish dreams, discovering treasure chests and sunken ships, and she roamed the vast landscapes of Eagle Dreams, soaring high above the mountain peaks. One evening, Seraphina felt a strange pull towards a new dream, something she had never felt before. It was a call so strong that she couldn't resist. She followed the sensation and found herself entering the dream of an old wise owl named Orion. Unlike the others, this dream was a serene reflection of a vast, starlit sky filled with constellations. Orion, sensing her presence, spoke softly. "Welcome, Seraphina. I have been waiting for you." Surprised, Seraphina fluttered around, her light flickering with curiosity. "You know me?" "I know all who travel through dreams," Orion explained. "You have brought much joy and comfort to those in the forest, but who brings joy to the dream fairy?" Seraphina paused, realizing she had never thought about her own dreams. She was always busy weaving happiness into others. Orion smiled knowingly and waved his wing, and the stars shifted, creating a mirror-like pond reflecting Seraphina's own face. "This is your dream," said Orion gently. "Remember to dream for yourself as well." In that moment, Seraphina saw her reflection adorned with flowers and stars, and she felt a warmth spread through her. She realized that her own dreams were just as important as those she helped with every night. Thankful for Orion's wisdom, Seraphina began to explore her own dreams. She created worlds of endless beauty, experiences that filled her with joy and peace. And as she continued to help others, she also nurtured her dreams, balancing her gift with her happiness. And so, Seraphina, the dream fairy, learned to explore not only the dreams of others, but also her own, filling her nights with wonder and her heart with contentment, forever glowing a little brighter in the dreamy twilight of the enchanted forest.